Hi gang, I'm glad you're all here. Thank you very much for joining me. North Korea launched a ballistic missile into the sea on Sunday, today, February 27th, 2022. A resumption of weapons tests that came as the United States and its allies are focused on the Russian invasion in Ukraine. Today, Russia put all its military bases on nuclear alert, and in the airport outside of Kiev, Russian forces destroyed the largest cargo plane in the world, called the Dream, the Antonov 225. The president of Ukraine is calling for citizens around the world to come and join their forces, basically be mercenaries to help and fight and save Ukraine. There was a post showing the Washington, D.C. phone number if you want to accept Zelensky's invitation to join the fight against Russia. Russia, because of the trouble they're having invading Ukraine, is cutting the internet. And Elon Musk set up Starlink internet service in Ukraine within 10 hours after being requested to help him with the service. Also reported, Russians wearing Ukrainian soldiers' uniforms were seen driving towards Kiev. Ukraine Deputy of Defense Minister said Russian troops had seized Ukrainian military vehicles. They were also found to be driving Ukrainian ambulances. Those caught were either captured or killed. So just like prophecy in the Bible, wars and rumors of wars, the 8th test so far this year of North Korea's missiles shouldn't be any surprise for those that are watching. Some experts have said North Korea is trying to perfect its weapons technology and pressure the United States into offering concessions like sanction relief and long-stalled disarmament talks. North Korea might view the U.S. preoccupation with Ukraine conflict as a chance to accelerate testing activity without any serious response from Washington. The Japanese defense minister said the North Korean missile flew about 190 miles at a maximum altitude of about 370 miles before landing off the North Korean eastern coast and outside of Japan's exclusion economic zone. During an emergency National Security Council meeting, top South Korean officials said the timing of the launch during Russia's invasion of Ukraine is not desirable at all for peace and stability in the world and on the Korean peninsula. The launch came after North Korea made its first response to the Ukraine war in the form of an article by a government analysis that expressed support for Russia and slammed the United States. The former Soviet Union was North Korea's biggest aid provider before its disintegration in the early 1990s. Russian President Vladimir Putin has been pushing to restore his country's ties with North Korea in what seems to be a bid to regain its traditional domains of influence and secure more allies to better deal with the United States. North Korea last month conducted 7 rounds of missile tests, a record number of monthly launches since leader Kim Jong-un took power in late 2011. North Korea halted testing activity after the start of the Winter Olympics in China. China is North Korea's last major ally. Kim Jong-un sent a message to the Chinese President Xi Jinping after the Olympics, calling for further consolidation bilateral ties into the invincible ones, he said, in the face of what he called the undisguised hostile policy and military threat of the U.S. and its satellite forces. Chinese President Xi replied to Kim last week saying China is ready to strengthen relations according to North Korea's state media, and we're all waiting for China to attack Taiwan. They figure within a month they'll probably do that. On February 1st, North Korea boasted that it was one of the only handful of countries in the world to field nuclear weapons and advanced missiles, and the only one standing up to the United States by shaking the world with missile tests. In January, one of the 7 missile tests included a new type of hypersonic missile able to maneuver at high speeds. Also, they tested a Hwasong 12 intermediate range ballistic missile capable of striking U.S. territories in the Pacific Ocean. The Hwasong 15 is the longest range intercontinental ballistic missile, ICBM, ever launched by North Korea, which hadn't been fired since its first test in 2017, and is believed to have the range to deliver a nuclear warhead anywhere in the United States. They feel that they're real close to miniaturizing a nuclear weapon to put into their missiles. A Washington think tank also said it had identified a military base close to North Korea's border with China that is likely intended for stationing ICBMs. It is about 16 miles from the border with China and 175 miles northeast of Pyongyang. This new missile base has never been declared by North Korea, and although its construction began 20 years ago, it was one of the latest to be completed. Analysis saying stationing ICBM so close to China would make any preemptive strike against them difficult because of the risk of hitting Chinese territory. Reuters obtained an expert of a confidential United Nations report that said North Korea had continued to develop its nuclear and ballistic missile programs in the past year, and cyber attacks were an important revenue source for Pyongyang in the face of international sanctions. So, what are your thoughts? Please put those comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Please stay safe, and I'll talk to you later. God bless y'all. Bye.